All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we will be starting in about 1 minute. Just a few announcements. If you take pictures of the event, please take as many pictures as you can, selfies, whatever you can, and post it on social media, hashtag ICPC Town Hall Murphy. That would be great. And then if you do have your phones, please make sure your phones are on silent or on vibrate. Okay, thank you. We'll be starting in just 1 minute. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, it's me again. We would like everyone to give a round warm of welcome to Dean Obeidullah. And sorry, Dean, but an even louder welcome for the governor of the great state of New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy. And now, special treat from the Al-Hikmah Islamic School choir by their teacher, Sister Adlia Mustafa. Thank you, Al-Hikmah School. One more round of applause for these beautiful kids. Ladies and and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, again, on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Islamic Center of Passaic County, I want you to know that this is a historic moment for us in the state of New Jersey. We are the first Islamic center in the state of New Jersey and possibly in the country to host a governor's town hall. And we want to thank Governor Murphy for that opportunity and for this chance. Round of applause, please, everybody.
Yeah, very nice.
I do also want to mention that we are, as a community, saddened by the events that happened in Paris yesterday. And I want you all to know that, as I did, I know everyone here believes we're one community. And it doesn't matter what religion that you're from or where you come from, we all feel the same and we all suffer the same. So I'd like us to keep them in our thoughts and our prayers as well today. I'd like to ask our Imam Dr. Muhammad Qatanani, to please come up and give the invocation.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. Our governor, welcome. Thank you for coming. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious, all thanks and praise are due to Allah. We seek His help and forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil within ourselves and the consequences of our evil deeds. Whoever Allah and God guides will never be led astray, and whoever God leads astray will never find guidance. God said in the Quran, O mankind, fear and love your Lord, who created you from one soul and created from its mate and dispersed from both of them many men and women, and fear and love Allah, through whom you ask one another, and the wombs. Verily, Allah is ever watching over you. In the Quran, O you have believed, be persistently standing firm for Allah, witness injustice, and do not let the hatred of people prevent you from being just. Be just. That is nearer to righteousness, and fear and love Allah. Indeed, Allah is acquainted with you do. O Allah, help our governor and his staff to perform their duties with fairness, justice, compassion for all. O Allah, who created us as one family, who sent for us all messengers and prophets, Moses, Jesus, Adam, Abraham, sealed with the Prophet Muhammad. We praise you because you are truly worthy of all praise. You are full of wisdom, and you grant wisdom to whom you please. Shower our governor and his staff and our state and the leaders of the entire world divine wisdom, not ignorance. O Allah, you are peace, and from you comes peace. Shower our nation with peace. O Allah, as we end our prayer here today, we pray that you help us all strengthen the unity and mutual respect and understanding. Help us to remain one nation, under one God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Thank you very much. Salam.
If everyone can please rise, the Eastside High School Color Guard presenting the flag.
place your right hand over your heart and join me in saluting the flag of the greatest nation on earth. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Order! Arms! Post! Flag holder! Arms! Forward! March!
You may be seated. Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance was led by the Honorable Mayor Mohammed Khairallah from the smallest but the most powerful city in Passaic County. Did I get that right, Chairman?
That's funny.
I would like to acknowledge all of our elected officials here, starting with the state and the Passaic County Chairman, John Curry, who's been a friend to this community. And the New Jersey State Health Commissioner, Dr. Sharif Al-Nahal, the first Muslim state official. So thank you for being here. And to all of the rest of the elected officials and the clergy, the Passaic County freeholders, as well as the Board of Education members, the councilmen, everyone that's here, we acknowledge you and we thank you for being here. At this time, I'd like to welcome Mayor Andre Sayegh from the great city of Paterson.
Yep.
Assalamu alaikum. Marhaba. I'm proud to represent the largest and arguably the most powerful city in the county of Passaic. Mr. Chairman, what do you think? I couldn't let that one slide. Tonight's about pride. We should all be proud of the fact that we have a governor come and host a town hall meeting in Paterson at the Islamic Center of Passaic County. And Maysoon, look at Maysoon. I'm proud to be the first Arab American mayor in the history of Paterson. I'm proud that, Mr. Chairman, we have one of the largest Arab and Muslim populations in the country. And I'm proud that this weekend we'll be raising the Syrian flag, and in 2 weeks we'll be raising the Palestinian flag. You're all invited, especially you. So, Governor, welcome. We know that as we embark on the holy month of Ramadan, you'll be invited to every iftar that's taking place. Sorry, Dean, I used to do stand-up.
That's very good.
But then they told me to sit down, and I will in a second. But Governor, we welcome you to your home away from home, Paterson, New Jersey. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Last but not least, before I hand the mic off to Dean and the Governor, I would like to thank all of our volunteers and the host committee, and especially Salah. Where is Salah? Salah, who's the Islamic Center, the outreach coordinator of the Islamic Center. Without him, none of this would be possible. So please, another round of applause. And now, I'm very proud to hand the mic over to the famous Dean Obeidullah and Governor Phil Murphy.
Yeah, Dean.
Yes. All right, so is our microphones working? Thank you very much. Salam alaikum to everyone. And tonight we are recording this to be a special on my Sirius XM radio show. We're going to play it on Thursdays. Let's start it off with a big round of applause for the special. So welcome to our town hall, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy at the Islamic Center in Passaic County. The first town hall ever at an Islamic Center in the history of New Jersey. And Governor Murphy, thank you so much for being here, for being a part of this. We were going to do this a few months ago, but Governor Murphy's on Muslim time, so he's a few months late. Here's the thing, Governor, you're never late if you use what we say. Just at the end of any statement, go, I'm going to see you there, just add the word inshallah.
Inshallah.
Which means God willing, or no, or maybe. It's an amazing word for us. So we want to hear from you. What I'm going to do is ask a few questions at the top. Then we have a lot of people send some great questions. We did some extreme vetting. We narrowed it down. We had a lot of great questions, so we're going to get to as many as we can. And first I want to just start. It's a little over a year as governor. What's it like, putting Steve Sweeney aside? What is it like? What is it like as governor? That's my joke, not the governor. Now, what is it like as a human being? You look back, you campaigned for a long time, you were out there. I saw you shaking hands, working really hard. You won a big victory, a little over a year. You look back, what's your feeling, just from a human point of view, not political?
It's a great feeling, but before I jump into that, Dean, it is great to be back here. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. And because we have enormous diversity here, I also say shalom, God bless you all. This is an incredibly diverse gathering. And I'm honored to say this is not only your and my first time together. We've done things on a number of occasions. But this isn't even my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth visit to the ICPC. So I want to thank Omar Awad. I want to thank Nadia, Dr. Rashid, Mr. Met, Salam Mustafa, Imam Katanani, and to the entire congregation for always welcoming me so warmly, even in tough moments. You all have been a home away from home for me, and I cannot thank you enough for that. I also want to give another shout out to my chairman. I don't know where I'd be or would be without him. Chairman John Curry is in the house. To the members of our military and law enforcement in particular who do extraordinary work, bless their hearts. To the elected officials, and particularly a particular treat for me is our health commissioner, Dr. Sharif El-Nahal, first Muslim American cabinet member in the history of the state of New Jersey, is in the house with us as well. Dean, the punchline is it's a lot of work, but it's the job of a lifetime. The responsibility is enormous. Frankly, I don't want to get too political, but we inherited a mess, and so we've been digging out. I got elected to fix the economy and to shrink the inequities, to push back against this us versus them stuff that had dominated our state and unfortunately now dominates our nation's capital. And slowly but surely, many days it's 3 yards off tackle, but we're making progress. We're moving, to keep the analogy, we're moving the ball down the field. We're trying like heck to grow the economy. We've passed a whole bunch of laws and signed a bunch of executive orders to shrink the inequities. We got minimum wage going to $15 an hour. We're funding, we're funding women's health at long last again through funding Planned Parenthood. We have the strongest equal pay laws in the country, the strongest earned sick leave laws in the country, probably the strongest gun safety laws in the United States of America. And Dean, lastly, we don't treat our diversity as the nation's most diverse state in the nation. We don't treat that as a burden. We wear that as a badge of honor. It is a source of enormous strength. So not only are we into the us versus them stuff, we completely reject it and embrace our diversity. I'm looking at this, right? I don't know about you. I want to know the story, the backstory behind the young lad who was standing and singing in front of the 15 or 20 young ladies in the chorus. But their song reminded me of what I think is the most important words ever spoken by an American because of their relevance for today, and that is Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's comments about the content of one's character. And he talked about rejecting making decisions based on the color of skin, which we must continue to do. But I would add to that, let's reject not just on anything that's on the outside, the clothing you wear, what you may have on your head, what your mom or dad does for a living, what God you worship, who you love, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's all get to know each other on the inside the understand each other's character. And that's what we stand for, and that's what we hope for, particularly for the generations to come.
So, yesterday was tax day, April 15th, and I've spoken to fellow New Jersey residents who were very upset by the Trump GOP tax plan, which put a cap on state and local tax deductions, which was in effect a huge tax increase for so many of our fellow New Jersey residents and people in other high tax states. What have you heard from New Jersey residents about that GOP tax plan, and what can be done to help them?
So I had one guy call in. I had asked the governor last night. I know everybody and all your family and friends and neighbors watched it last night. Just making sure you're still paying attention out there. And I had one guy call in and said he had benefited from the Trump tax plan. That's the only guy in New Jersey I have met. Really, that was guy number one. So listen, it was promised to be this big boom for the middle class. Nobody saw it in their paychecks. Maybe you all did. Now folks were doing their taxes over the past month or two. Then either their refund is lower, or they used to get a refund, Chairman, and now they're paying. And we know what this was. This was, and academics have written this, 83% of the benefits, when it's all said and done, will go to the top 1% in America. That's what that was. So I'm not a class warrior, but that's not fairness. That's not tax equity. That's not the American deal. And so I won't go into all the details, but we're fighting that thing tooth and nail. Legally, we're fighting the constitutionality of it. We're coming up with potential creative solutions. We raised the cap in New Jersey on your state taxes for your state and local deduction. We are doing everything we can. We're working with our congressional delegation to push back and try to change that law. It has not been a good step for New Jersey, and we'll continue to fight it because it's not right. I got the human applause sign over there. Thank you.
How about a creative approach? You're governor. Why don't we use eminent domain and take over Trump's country club? Just like take it over and then make it a rest area, name it after like a Muslim, like the Abdullah rest area.
I love that.
This is my dream. We're just sharing it. That. Inshallah, maybe we can do that. So
par 17 on that hole.
So the name of this town hall is the Blueprint to Help the Middle Class.
You bet.
Your budget was about that, your State of the Union. Share a little bit about what your blueprint is to help the middle class of New Jersey.
Yeah, so we presented, I'm very happy you asked that, and I love the title of this gathering. So we presented our budget about, 6 weeks ago, and we said it's a blueprint for the middle class. Now this is our second budget, so in many respects this continues the work that we had already begun 15 months ago. 4 pillars, and they're simple. Number one, we have to prove to everybody in the state that we know how to save money. So we put forward $1.1 billion of sustainable savings. Most of those savings to the enormous credit of our public sector workforce, achieved through the more efficient delivery of health care to our public sector workforce. And we did that with them, not yelling at them or jamming things down their throat, right? We believe, I believe this my whole life. We believe, as hard as the topic might be, and these are tough meetings, you get a much better result if you all sit at the table together, roll up your sleeves, shut the door, and figure it out. And that's what we're about. We're not into the shut up and sit down stuff that others have been. We're all God's children. We treat each other with dignity and respect. So number one, prove that we can save money. Number two, begin to restore fiscal stability in our state. The last administration, 11 consecutive credit rating downgrades. We got to put a stop. We got to draw a line under that. So we presented a much bigger surplus in our budget, just in case the economic winds get choppy, as I think they will, by the way. We cut way down on one-off, one-shot revenues. We cut way down on diversions of funds. So the second pillar, Dean, is fiscal stability. First one is save some money. Second one, fiscal stability. Third pillar is a continuing all-in historic investment in the middle class, and as I was growing up, reinstilling the dreams of those who look up, whether they're in poverty or in the working poor, who dream someday to get into the middle class. So that's a huge investment in education, transportation, health care, jobs, fighting back against this awful opioid scourge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Third pillar, huge investment in the middle class. And the fourth pillar is tax equity. Again, I'm not a class warrior. I'm not an us versus them guy. But we can't say on the one hand that we're all in to invest in the middle class, which, by the way, was ravaged under my predecessor, and then still make the middle class take it on the chin and pick up the tab. Even symbolically, in addition, you got to find the money somewhere. You got to convince folks that you've got their back, that you in fact are all in for them. And so it's tax fairness. It's a millionaire's tax, which I believe strongly in. It's if you're an opioid distributor or manufacturer, we're going to ask you to pay a per pill tax to help us fund the programs to break the back of the opioid scourge, right? As we all know, was ravaging urban communities long before it made the front pages of the newspapers, right? We all know that. Thirdly, if you're a company and you have 50 or more people and you're not giving them health care and you're making them go on Medicaid, which means right now either we're picking up the tab or with the feds, we're going to ask that company to pay $150 per head per employee to help us pick up the tab. So those are the four pillars. Save money, restore fiscal stability, all in investment in the middle class and in the dreams of those who look up to get into it, and tax fairness.
And before we go to the audience questions, I want to ask, Governor, your response. You know, on Friday, Donald Trump released a video using the imagery of 9/11 and the words of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who was one of the first 2 Muslim American women ever elected to Congress, first African American woman who's Muslim elected to Congress. He used this imagery that she got death threats that she talked about on Sunday. He said, I got death threats. And what did Trump do on Monday? He tweeted yesterday calling her hateful to America and then doubled down last night saying she's very, very bad for our country. And the reaction, it's not just politics. There are people in our community, when I talked to Sal, who didn't want to come here because they feared for their family's safety in the climate we live in. What is your response to Donald Trump's division and demonization of people of color and of Muslims specifically with Congresswoman Omar?
Let me speak to the Congresswoman's particular plight first. Number one, let there be no doubt, again, I don't want to get too political here, let there be no doubt which party is the party of diversity. This just did. Okay? So with all due respect, when you look at a gathering of the newly elected Republican congressmen, and I say congressmen, it looks like a shot from an Eisenhower-era suburban country club. And I say that with hardly any amount of exaggeration. So we as a party, I think, should be proud of the fact that we are leading our nation on diversity, and we aim to continue to do so in New Jersey. Amen. Secondly, I must also say I don't agree with everything she says, and I don't agree in every case how she says it. But this is America. She has a right to say that, and we have a right to debate that without impairing anyone's personal safety. Thirdly, it is completely and utterly despicable by the President of the United States to do what he's doing with her, and more broadly, pitting us against them. Invariably, the them are going to be the Muslim Americans, the Latino Americans, persons of color. That is not America. That is not leadership. We don't have to agree with each other, and in many cases, no 2 people ever do. But America is a place where you discuss things out, you argue them, you find common ground, and you move forward. And so I find it completely and utterly despicable, and it's completely un-American. The America I know is the poem at the base of the Statue of Liberty, written by a young woman, Emma Lazarus. It sits there. It described America in the 1880s, and it still does in the year 2019.
I couldn't agree with you more. And to us as Democrats or as progressive, diversity is this room. Look around. To the GOP, diversity is different shades of white. That's really what they have. Like a guy with a tan is diverse to them. That's what goes on. So what we're going to do now is go to the questions. I'm not kidding. They sent them in to Salah and others. There was a lot of repeat questions. We culled it down to try to get a representative view of different points of view. We had a lot of questions on taxes. we had a lot of questions on BDS. So we picked one for each of the different things. And before we start, we're going to have the microphone. Who has the microphone? Because I'm going to call the person by name. And are you going to walk around with the microphone? They're going to come up. Oh, they're going to come up to it? All right. And before we do that, because we're doing this as a radio, it's not live. Can we do one thing where we go to a fake commercial break? We're not going to stop, and then we'll come right back. We're going to know we're recording for the special. It's going to sound great. Third, is anybody here Sirius XM?
Yeah.
Yeah. About a few, like 3 Muslims. We don't even pay for cable at this point. So, all right. So let's go to a quick break. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back more with our town hall with Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey right after this. And now we're going to do like coming back. Ready? And a lot of applause. Ready? And welcome back to our town hall with New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, right here in Patterson, New Jersey, the Islamic Center. So now Governor Murphy.
That was an incredible commercial.
That was great. So
I'm going to buy that thing.
It was for Chris Christie's book. Ironically,
jeez.
I'm kidding. All right. So our first question, and I'm going to do it in the order they gave me here. Azra Beg, where's Azra?
Asra, where are you? Asra,
So please come up to the microphone.
How are you, Azra?
Good. How are you? Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace to everyone. And thank you, ICPC, for hosting this, and thank you, Governor, for your leadership.
God bless you.
Thank you. So my name is Azra Beg. I'm from South Brunswick. I'm a school board member there. However, I'm going to be speaking in my personal capacity as someone that has been targeted with multiple Islamophobic actions and as a mother of 2 daughters. So we have seen a rise in bias and hate incidences everywhere, internationally, such as in New Zealand, nationally, and locally, as we saw what happened in East Brunswick High School, where a Muslim student had her hijab ripped off, she was spit on, called a raghead, and beaten up. And we have seen many other incidences of hate, bias in schools targeting students who are African American, Jewish, Hispanic, and other minority backgrounds. What is the New Jersey Department of Education or the Department of Justice doing to help combat the rise of hate? Do we have programs or workshops in schools that address discrimination or racism, or even curriculum instruction that can be offered or even mandated for the students to help address understanding and acceptance of one another? Can the Department of Education or Department of Justice mandate professional development for teachers and administrators on cultural competency and how to react when there is a racist or hate crime incidents in the schools? Thank you.
Wow, that is a...
Those are better questions than I asked.
I think that was actually, in fact, 7 or 8 questions. Azra and I go back several years, and I'm a huge fan of yours and respect everything you stand for. This is what happens when the boss gives the permission slip to behave the way folks are behaving. So when I am in a temple or in a Jewish community center, I am hearing about an extraordinary spike in anti-Semitic behavior, undeniably in our country, frankly the world, and certainly in New Jersey. When I'm in a mosque like this, or where's Sammy? I saw Sammy out here somewhere. We were together a couple of 1 week to the day after New Zealand in Middlesex County, talking about the very topics that you raised in the spike of anti-Muslim behavior. The behavior across racial lines, across religious. Certainly our Latino brothers and sisters are under enormous threat and pressure constantly, particularly with all this immigration noise. Again, that's what happens when the permission slip is given by the highest elected officer in the world, in the United States rather, and the leader of the free world. This is the behavior. You get Charlottesville. In other words, it's not directly attributable, but the behavior, the sort of the sense, the perception of a loud behavior, that spectrum broadens dramatically. People think they can get away with stuff they otherwise couldn't. So I think our job in that high school incident was awful. Muhammad Hamadoun, I don't think is here, from Bergen County, and I immediately were back and forth on that. An awful example of that in a community that we all know and is close to home. One thing we're trying to do is to do things like this, because we've got a big microphone as well. We have an ability to set a tone. I personally, the Lieutenant Governor, the First Lady, our cabinet, our leader, our chairman, our elected officials, we can also set the tone, our faith leaders. And the fact we can push back on that tone that's being set out of Washington. We can be seen in places like this with a diverse community and say, I'm as home here as anywhere in the state. The Dreamers are every bit as American as my 4 kids, and remind folks of that. Remind our president, as we do constantly, this just in, Puerto Ricans are Americans. And I think, Azra, without going through each one of those, the Attorney General was all over this and his team, the Commissioner of Education. I think you make some very good points about, and I hope one of our team is helping me, Dante or somebody, or Brady, to keep notes here on very good suggestions. I think master classes to continue to push back on whether it's anti-Semitic behavior, anti-Muslim behavior, etc. This is not of passing interest in New Jersey. Let me just give you a couple of what I mean by that. We have the 2nd largest Muslim American population in America, the largest Palestinian population in America. We have the 4th largest Jewish population, the 2nd largest per capita. We have almost 500,000 Puerto Ricans in New Jersey. If you look at the spectrum of the Latino communities, not just the broad umbrella, but the individual subsets, we are invariably in the top 3 to 5 in every single stripe. We have Frank Pallone, my congressman, has the largest population of South Asian residents of any congressional district in America. We have one of the most consequential African-American communities by any measure in the United States. And we wear all of that as a badge of honor. But getting what Azra, you've talked about, getting that right is not of passing interest, therefore, to us. It is existential. It is at the core of who we are as a state, and I would argue as a nation.
Next, Corey Teague. Could Corey Teague please come up?
Corey, how are you? Where are you? Hey, man.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
As you know, my name is Corey Teague, and I represent Black Lives Matter Patterson. I'm also the organizer with Justice for Jameek. The question I have, the family and community is demanding answers, transparency, and justice. We do not believe that can occur with the investigation handled by the Passaic County Prosecutor's Office. Our current battle to remove the investigation out of Passaic County could have been avoided if the independent prosecutor bill was signed before his death. While now the bill is signed because of the protests since his death occurred before the passing of the bill, it is still being reviewed by the county. Can you commit to ensuring that this case gets independently investigated and to ensure accountability for future instances of police misconduct and abuse? Will you champion to change laws and policies on the state level to allow strong independent civilian review boards with subpoena power?
Corey, thank you for that. Good seeing you. First of all, let me say broadly what I can't say, but first of all, I want to say that the loss of life of that lad is in my prayers and my family's prayers, and it has been ever since it happened. So God rest his soul, number one, most importantly. Secondly, that is an ongoing criminal and law enforcement matter, and you'll have to forgive me. That's something that I really can't get into in any specific detail. Thirdly, having said that, I promise you the prosecutor in this county and the Attorney General and his senior team are taking this extremely seriously. This is not of passing interest to them, I promise you that. And fourthly, as Corey highlighted, I was honored to pass, after an enormous amount of deliberation and input, the independent prosecutor law and sign that into law. And that puts us into a very different place, and by many measures, into a place in America almost uniquely. And that was as a result of, sadly, tragedy, too many over time. It was a result of great leadership by elected officials, particularly legislators. It was great leadership by activists like Corey and others like him. And at the end of the day, we got to the right place. Amen. And as I always say, we read in the papers, Dean, about the bad apples or the folks who don't get it right. The overwhelming amount of folks in law enforcement, we've got a lot of them with us tonight, wake up every day, go in, serve their communities proudly with great distinction and dignity, and in many cases put their life at risk. That doesn't mean, like any population, that there aren't bad actors, that there aren't bad moments, that there aren't exceptions, and we have to be aware of that. So the more independent the review processes are, the more transparency around those processes there are, the better we all are. And by the way, on the other side, we can't ignore the long-standing, I would argue, centuries-building suspicion that exists across communities with law enforcement. This didn't happen overnight. You know, look at, and I say centuries advisedly because we're still digging out of the awful legacy of slavery in this country, and let's never ignore that, and let's never forget that. This isn't a matter of law enforcement, but another way to look at that is the wealth disparities that exist in this state. And if you don't know this, folks, they're shocking. The average white family net worth in this state is $271,000. The average Latino net worth, $7,100. African American, $5,900. When I first heard this, I thought somebody had dropped a zero. Even then, it would have been 4 to 5x. But it's not. It's 40 to 50x. That didn't happen overnight. We get there over a period of decades, and I would argue over centuries. That doesn't mean we should turn our back on it and let it go on, because we won't. We are, by that independent prosecutor law, by a lot of other steps we're taking, we are drawing a line under that history and turning a page, and a new day is before us.
Governor, on the state level, is there anything that can be done with the wealth gap? I know Senator Booker's trying to address it in his 2020 campaign. Is it more of a federal issue? Or on the state level, can anything be done?
I think you can do both, but I love Senator Booker's baby bonds idea. If those of you don't know what that is yet, I think it's a home run idea. Everybody in the country gets a bond when they're born, and depending on your income circumstances of the family you're born into, you get annual bonds that build up to something pretty significant. I think at least Senator Booker's got something that looks like a bogey of about $50,000 by the time you turn 18, I believe, Chairman. I'm sorry? $54,000 of bonds by the time you turn 18. Assuming you grew up in a family that was in poverty and had need, that's a real statement. That doesn't mean we're going to only allow the feds to think about how to do that, but I love Senator, among the many reasons why I'm supporting Senator Booker for President of the United States.
So our next question, Dr. Asaf. Where's Dr. Arif Asaf? Hey, Dr. Asaf.
Hello, Doctor.
Good evening, Governor. Welcome.
Nice to be here.
First, I would like to compliment either you or your wife on the choice of your socks. Very interesting.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I believe they're a gift from my wife, but I chose them explicitly to wear today.
That we can actually see socks of a governor, I think. So that's the first.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Governor, I came to this country some 42 years ago. I was at the young age of almost 18. Did all my studies here. I'm happily married with 5 children. And when I'm gone, I will have left a good inheritance, doctors and lawyers and activists. So immigrants are the lifeline of this country, and those who think otherwise don't know. The title of my question is BDS, the worldwide movement that essentially the acronym stands for Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions. Governor, the state of New Jersey in 2016 passed a law under Governor Christie that essentially stipulates that the state of New Jersey may withhold or not engage in any business activity or investment specifically with any company that is accused or labeled as being involved in boycott and divestment of the state of Israel. There is right now, and that was actually, New Jersey is one of 27 such states. Now there is a law legislation being considered in Washington that essentially extends this law so that states can actually punish certain employees of the state if they engage in any such activities that they can lose their jobs. A very big example is in the state of Texas, Governor, as we know, and there is right now a lawsuit against the state where a Muslim woman was forced out of her school job because she refused to sign a Pledge of Allegiance saying she will not engage in such activities. Governor, if such a law is introduced in the state of New Jersey, where would you stand on this? Where I, as an individual, a citizen, a resident of this state, should have the right, politically and economically, to do whatever I wish within the confines of the law, as far as what I buy, what I say, and how I say it, whether I agree with this position or that position. Should you be punishing me or not engaging with in my rights and my constitutionally protected rights as far as my position on the treatment by Israel of its Palestinian residents?
Doctor, where did you emigrate from?
Palestine.
From Palestine.
I lived most of my life in a refugee camp called Kalandia Camp.
And are you in Passaic County now?
And Morris County.
In Morris County.
Yes.
Thank you for traveling. Thank you. So one of the rules of the road that I have to stick to and you have to adhere to if you're a governor, I'm not sure the president adheres to these rules, but I can't say one thing in this house of worship and a different thing in a different house. So I'm not a supporter of the BDS movement. And it's not a... I want to make sure you understand why that is. The reason for me, first of all, I believe completely in a negotiated, comprehensive, two-state solution. Period. Okay. I'm a former U.S. ambassador to the Federal Republic of Germany. Our closest relationships there were with countries in the region, including Israel and a lot of the neighborhood. Not all of the neighborhood, but a lot of the neighborhood. We also had relations with the Palestinian representation as well. But I don't support it because I don't think it adds to the probability that we achieve that negotiated, comprehensive two-state solution. And that's where I've been all along, and I continue to be. That doesn't mean, and I don't know the federal law well, Doctor, so I'm not sure I understand all the nuances of it, but that does not mean that I could tell you that you shouldn't have the right to say that you are in favor of that. And that's an important distinction I think that you're making here. So I'm not a believer in that, just as I'm not a believer in unilateral action taken by any of the interested parties, geographic or otherwise. I don't think those get us toward a better probability for a negotiated, comprehensive, two-state solution. But I can't impose my will on you in terms of what your First Amendment rights and your beliefs. I hope that helps. Thank you.
And to that very point, there's been 2 federal cases so far where they considered BDS, and I wrote about it for the Daily Beast. Both times the courts have struck it down as unconstitutional because our Supreme Court has decided years ago that boycotting is a form of expression. It's freedom of expression. So you can't have a state say you can't have freedom of expression in the political context. So that's the one good thing. I don't know if they're ever going to pass it on the federal level. So our next question is from a good friend of mine. A lot of you know her. She's my sister from another mother. My good friend Maysoon Zayed's got a question here. So they're going to bring in the microphone. How about a round of applause for Maysoon Zayed, everyone?
Dante, can you move the microphone into Maysoon here? Thank you.
We had him lined up already. The mic came up. There we go.
Easy. We don't want to electrocute.
I know. You have to hold it. Okay. Hi, how are you? So, as I said, I'm Mason Zayed, and right now...
You need no introduction. I'm also a big fan.
Thank you. So, disability rights are under siege in this country right now, and my question is, what is New Jersey doing to protect disability rights, such as access to equal pay, very importantly, access to equal education and health care? What are you guys doing to make Jersey folks with disabilities' lives better?
Yeah, God bless you. Let's hear it for that question, and Mason, thank you. So, let me start by saying I want to keep beating a dead horse, but we've got a president who makes fun of people with disabilities, right? And there's no denying that, so we have to say that for the record. That's not who we are as a country. And it's un-American and unacceptable. So let me just say that up front. I think we're doing a lot in New Jersey. We've put a significant amount of funding into our budget. So there's a good question. You could talk a good game, but you got to put your money where your mouth is. And we have. We have an ombudsman for persons with disabilities, Paul Aronson, who's a good friend, former mayor, Bergen County guy. The chairman knows him well. He's done extraordinary work. He's been in the seat for probably about a year. And by the way, he's not been bashful about speaking truth to power. So even though he's in our administration and doing a great job, he's been very willing to be critical of where we need to get better. We are standing for the equal protection that you've referred to, equal pay, etc. In particular, I met last week in the Department of Human Services with about probably 150 senior employees in Trenton, and then I spoke on a video to the field folks who deal with adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities. Bless you. And there were about 25,000, as far as we could tell, in the state. Those persons, adults with those disabilities. And I will say, and I don't spike the football when I say this, because we can always be better. And we try, we wake up every day. Barack Obama, remember Barack Obama, by the way? Bless his heart. Hi, Brittany. Used to wake up every day and say we try each day to perfect our union, to get it a little bit better. And so that sort of guides me. Even when we have successes, you're guided by, okay, that may be good, but how can we be better? And I say it in that context. I think there's no state in America in that arena that could compare to the work that New Jersey does. That does not mean that more money isn't needed, more staffing, more focus, more truth to power, and I promise all of the above. And it's great to see you.
Barack Obama, remember him? Oh my gosh. People are like, do I miss George Bush at this point? I'm like, I would hug Dick Cheney if he walked in this room. That's how bad Trump is.
Easy, Dean. Easy.
You're right, I really wouldn't.
We have our limits here.
We have our limits. Our next person, many of you know him, really great guy. Jimmy, where's Jimmy Small? Jimmy, there you are, Jimmy. Jimmy's got a question. Jimmy Small, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu
Good evening, everyone. I do have to give some accolades because I'm from the county. I'm from East Orange. I'm also from the county of Essex. Essex County, New Jersey, has had a lot of Muslim firsts as far as politics are concerned. 40 years ago, Carl Sharif was the first Muslim elected in the United States. In East Orange, we had the first city clerk, and she's with us tonight, Cynthia Brown. And I'm going to be a little biased because my assemblywoman is Brittany Timberlake.
Yeah.
I have to dare say she's one of the most effective people in Trenton. Anyway, one of the things that's near and dear to my heart, the 2020 census is just around the corner. Is your administration working with census groups to ensure that New Jersey is fully counted so that we don't lose funding and even a congressional seat? Because over the past, I used to live in the 13th congressional district. There is no 13th congressional district.
That stops
I
at
live
12.
in the 10th now. So what is the administration doing to make sure that we're fully counted so we can, with this president we have, so we can make sure we get fully funded?
Yep. Let's hear it for Jimmy. This is a good question. Jimmy, I see you also brought Charlie Williams along with you from Essex County as well, I see. Easy now, easy. Particularly with this president and with this Commerce Secretary who wants to put a litmus test in, and the Supreme Court is hearing this, I think, as we speak. Am I right about that, Sharif? I think so, right? Particularly with this president and administration where they want to ask a citizenship question, and we know how they feel about persons with disabilities, persons of color, immigrant communities, putting everything we can into the census arena and making sure that we get a complete count is not of passing interest. It's another existential item for us. So it's another example of putting our money where our mouth is. We put a bunch of money into the budget. There are some who think we even should be putting more in, and I'm open-minded to that. We have a complete count commission. Our Secretary of State, the one and only Passaic County's own Tahisha Way, is overseeing that, and she's a rock star. Our congressional delegation is working with us. Frank Pallone, again, I give a shout out to somebody who's had multiple conversations with me and with our team. And again, we have to assume the worst. You know, that hope for the best and assume the worst, because we've got an administration that wants to screw a state, pardon my use of a diplomatic verb, a state like New Jersey. We're not red. We're extremely diverse. We speak our mind. We got leaders like you, Jimmy, and others who are prepared to stand up. We embrace diversity. That's antithetical to this president. And that makes it's not just a normal census count. We have to take this thing. The chairman and I have spoken about it at length. He's all in on this. It's preserving not just our congressional representation in the House of Representatives. No matter what they do to us, we still get 2 U.S. senators. But preserving our House delegation, the size of it, but funding. It's a huge deal on funding. And so we're taking it very, very seriously, and we'll continue to. Thank you for asking it.
Good question, Jimmy. All right, so by the way, just so everyone knows, we're finishing at 8 o'clock sharp, so we got a few more questions. We're trying to get in all the ones that were picked in advance. Has Madeline Hoffman, has she got here? She was going to hear late. Oh, Madeline, come on up. Madeline's got a question about the environment for you. Yeah.
Hi, Madeline.
Can you hear me all right?
Perfectly.
Okay.
That was well done, by the way.
Thank you. Had some practice. My name is Madeline Hoffman. I'm a member of the Green Party of New Jersey, and I have an environmental question for you, Governor Murphy.
Thank you.
You campaigned on a goal of making New Jersey's energy sources 50% fossil fuel free by 2030. How will this goal be achieved if new underground oil and gas pipelines are allowed to be built and the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection does not deny permits for the huge new power plant proposed for the Meadowlands?
Thank you. Let's hear it from Alan. So I'd go a step further than just 50% fossil fuel by 2030. We have a plan, an objective, which we will meet, to have 100% clean energy by 2050.
I understand. But the same question applies in both cases.
You betcha, you betcha. And we are in the process right now of developing the energy master plan that will be the roadmap to getting us there. And we are, may I answer? Yes. In the time between now and having that master plan complete, at a minimum, we have to call balls and strikes on all these projects. I don't want anybody ever to look back and say, you took a shortcut. You didn't consider all the facts. We take the permitting very seriously. The permitting on that plant you're talking about that was given out last year was very modest, very early stage steps. The big ones are still far down the road and to come. The federal FERC piece is important here. I just would say to Madeline, to you, and to, as you said, no. I hear you. I've got your, as you turn around, I've got your back, though. We have the You're doing great. We have, just want to make sure folks know, we have, I would say right now, folks focus in, and I don't deny the passion, and not only not deny it, I respect it. So God bless you. We're the densest state in the nation. So we've got to get the environment right. You don't get a B+ on the environment if you're the densest state in the nation. So I respect the passion completely and understand it. My wife serves on Al Gore's Climate Reality Project board. This is not abstract for us. This is personal. But I would say this. There is no governor in America with a more progressive environmental agenda than the governor sitting right here tonight. I want to make sure you all know that. We're not talking about offshore wind. We have a plan that is actually being put in place for 3,500 megawatts of offshore wind. I hope and anticipate we'll be able to do more. I care as much about environmental justice and the kids in Newark South Ward who have four times the rate of national asthma as any other kid because of the trucks going in and out of our port. I care about unleashing a solar agenda and community solar, which gets solar power to communities underserved, typically urban communities that don't normally participate in the environmental agenda. And so I would just put our track record up against anybody's, and as I always say, I respect the passion. We deal with these projects one at a time. And secondly, I hope you're all out there saying the same thing to the governors of Texas and Oklahoma.
All right, so I think we have time for one more question, maybe two at the most. Saqib Ahmed?
He's coming. Let's hear it for Saqib.
My name is Saqib Ahmed from West Windsor, New Jersey.
Can you get a little closer? Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Saqib Ahmed from West Windsor, New Jersey. I had the pleasure of helping with your campaign. Thank you for coming in 2017 to a friend of mine's house in Toms River, as well as Cooper Healthcare. I'm a facility manager at Cooper Healthcare. My question to you is, Governor, can you take another look at our expungement statutes to be more lenient and beneficial for New Jersey residents? There are a lot of good people who have changed their lives after criminal charges, and this could really help them to live more productive lives. Even if the marijuana bill does not pass, can you at least change the statute to include 5 disorderly persons convictions rather than the 4 which we have allowed currently? Thank you.
Good question. Let's hear the question. So, I get criticized for this, and it drives me crazy, and I'm not going to give up my ground. I want New Jersey to be the state for second chance in our country. And I've taken an enormous amount of heat for this. Long before I was governor, I served on the national board of the NAACP. Julian Bond was a dear, close friend, got me involved many, many years ago. We need to be a country of second chances. We need to do it carefully, we need to do it responsibly, but we need to do it. Whether that's getting a job, a license, an education, health care, getting a leg up and another shot at life, another shot at a career, we've got to be better than we are. So without specifically commenting on, I love the button by the way, without specifically commenting on your request, I promise you we take this very seriously. Including the whole criminal justice reform umbrella, re-entry as a general matter and specific to expungement. You mentioned that what we're trying to do with the adult use marijuana legislation is a historic expungement and opportunity to vacate sentences unlike any state in the history of the country. We care about that. I got to that, to supporting that explicitly through the social justice lens or the social injustice lens. We have the widest white, non-white gap of persons incarcerated in America. In New Jersey, in 2019, that should be utterly and wholly unacceptable. I promise you, we're going to stay at it until we fix it. Want to do one more?
It's up to you. You want to do? Let's see. Here's one. The last one. Gaddafi Asaf. Not here. Okay. Does anyone else want to ask Gaddafi's a question? No, I'm kidding. No. We have other questions. Don't think. Let's see. We've got Jerry Boyle. Whoa! It's like you won something, Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
It's like I wish there were prizes, but Jerry Boyle. All right, Jerry. So Jerry will be the last question.
Hi, Jerry.
And then Omar.
Nice to see you, man.
Where's Omar? I didn't see him.
How are you? Let's go.
All right, so last one.
Is it Jerry Boyle?
Jerry Boyle.
How ironic and poignant is it that Boyle's asking Murphy in the ICPC for the last question? Salam. Was this a setup, Andre?
No green socks here. First of all...
Can you get closer?
Yep. Thank you so much for your advocacy and determination to successfully pass a significant increase in the state minimum wage, which I have wrote to you personally and I've received your...
Thank you. I know when someone compliments me in my job, I'm about to get nailed with something else. So. I have my eyes open.
For adults with developmental disabilities here in New Jersey living in group homes, supervised apartments, and supportive living settings run by private agencies, there's often, but not always, a high turnover rate of direct care staff. There's often a high turnover rate for supported employment programs and adult day programs as well. Obviously, better pay and benefits would hopefully help the situation. With better pay and benefits for direct care staff, who should all hopefully have a college degree or some other post-secondary education, there would probably be less of a need for administrative oversight and government oversight.
Yep.
And I work for DDD. So,
so listen, may I, or are you still going?
So my thought...
Jerry, you don't have a PowerPoint presentation, do you?
All right. I'm going to cut to the chase instead of being an Irishman.
There you go. Yeah, thank you.
My thought is, most families, smart businesses, smart organizations do long-term planning. I know this is probably not politically possible, but it's idealistic, obviously. Is there any way that we could have multi-year budgets in New Jersey to be more proactive and think the long term?
So first of all, good question, Jerry. Thank you. I'll see you as you head back over to your seat. Nice to see you, man.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. I'll autograph this for you. Thank you. So real quick, the turnover of staff. We've already talked a little bit about developmental and intellectual disabilities, disabilities of all kinds. Staff consistency is a big deal. Any of us who have had a loved one in any amount of category that requires personal care, consistency matters. Our son had an accident last year. That nurse who came in consistently and was there and saw him through a period of time, that mattered. It wasn't, she was more professional than the other women or men coming in, but it was a consistency. And lower turnover is a good thing in any organization. Secondly, the broader picture, I think in a perfect world you would have multi-year budgets. I think the New Jersey budget process is a healthy one. The governor presents it, and then there's several months. Sharif has to go through, all the commissioners and cabinet members go in and defend the budget in both the Assembly and the Senate. There are public meetings, private meetings. It comes to a boil invariably, no pun intended, in the last couple of days of June. Those are the days where you say, you wish this was a 2-year process or a 3-year process. So I've always been open-minded to it. I think it's a good housekeeping, better hygiene way to deal with the budget. That's a good question. Dean, back to you, man.
All right, my friends. So we're gonna have a closing few words by the president of the ICPC. But first, I just want to say, how about a round of applause for Governor Phil Murphy for making history, for being here tonight, and thank you for being part of this town hall, this historic town hall, and being also on the special on Sirius XM. But right now, the president, Omar Awad of ICPC.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Peace be upon you all, and welcome everyone At first, I would like to thank everyone for coming and to wish happy Easter and Passover. And for those who are getting ready for Ramadan, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and God bless from all of us. I know the governor needs to run, and I just want to share something very, very quickly with everyone. When the governor back then, Candidate Murphy, came to ICPC 2 years before he became governor, we had a very, very candid conversation on what kind of governor we would expect for this state. A governor that will come and truly have the back of the residents of the state. As you saw today, we did not talk about tolerance and we will accept each other. We spoke about things that matter to every single New Jerseyan. We spoke about things that matter for the state. And as ICPC, we are committed to be part of this civic engagement process to address things as a nation, as a state, under leadership of a governor that cares about every single one. And then for those who don't have a commitment in the process, we need to understand and calibrate our expectations that we might not always agree, and we will not agree on everything, but we have to be committed to the process of speaking to one another. And Governor, thank you so much for allowing this forum, and thank you so much for coming. And on behalf of ICPC,
Thank you, Omar.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was great. Thank you for doing this. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. Great seeing you. Omar, nice seeing you.
Inshallah, Maghrib prayer will be at 8:15, inshallah, in the side room. Salat al-Maghrib will be at 8:15 in the side room, inshallah.